escaping the realm of darkness. The paranormal guys are on a quest to find the answers to the hard questions of where the normal meets the paranormal, and the weird, and where the natural meets the unnatural. So grab your holy water, call your mama, and get ready for the Paranormal Guys podcast.
Woo! It's showtime, Steve.
It is showtime.
It's showtime.
October 1st.
It's October 1st. You know
This airs in a few days, though.
Yeah. Halloween's coming, man.
When are we airing this?
So this is October 1st, 2023. This is going to be aired on October 5th, which is a Thursday after 12 p.m. on all the outlets that we utilize. And today we are going to be talking with Mr. Brad Pate.
Brad Pitt?
No, not Brad Pitt.
Oh.
He's good looking like that, though, man. I'll tell you. He's a good looking dude, man.
All right.
So let's talk about Mr. Brad Pate. He is the assistant, Pate, P-A-T-E.
Okay.
Pitt.
Okay.
He is the assistant to the Exorcist, Father Mike Maginot from the house, the Demon House.
We're interviewing the assistant.
The assistant.
To the Exorcist in Chicago?
Yes. Well, actually, Indiana. From Indiana.
From Indiana?
Yes.
Dude, but still. Wow.
I mean, that's where the case was. It was in Indiana. The Demon House was in Indiana.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he was the assistant to the Exorcist involved in that?
Yes. I don't know if he was actually there on the during that, but the conversation that we did. Now you know the conversation we had with this man.
Yes, I know.
It gets deep.
I'm playing innocent for the viewer because we already did the interview and it was amazing. Now
this guy here, this conversation is going to get very deep, man. He's very good, very, very good. Everybody's going to enjoy tonight's episode. I guarantee you that. So once again, we are going to have the assistant to the Exorcist, Mr. Brad Pate, on. And the whole idea of this show is going to be about exorcisms and possessions. Yeah. But until then, we have a little bit of announcements and we have the news. What do you want to do first there, Stephen?
Let's do announcements, though. Let's get those out of the way. We got some pretty good ones because it is October, and everybody who knows us knows that we do.
Oh, hold on. You know what? Before we get started, did you know it has been now 1 year? This is our 1 year anniversary, Steve.
Oh, wait. For Paranormal Guys podcast?
Paranormal Guys. It's been 1 year now.
We've been doing this for a year?
We've been doing this for a year now.
And I still haven't gotten better? Damn.
You still haven't gotten better. I've gotten awesome, though.
Yes. No, you were born that way.
I was just born this way.
Right. With the beard and everything.
Bald with the beard. My mom looked at it and she goes, Jesus Christ.
Last time she's going to get with the milkman.
That's the last time. Looks just like the milkman. What the hell? Beard and everything.
What the? Oh boy.
All right, so moving on to announcements. Let's not get too deep with that conversation.
No.
So congratulations, Steve.
Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Year. Thank you.
Yes. It has been interesting because we've had so many great guests. I've learned so much about the paranormal. From UFOs to possession, exorcisms. We've done quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. We've done anything. We've done aliens. We've done cryptids. We've done possession. We've done anything paranormal, supernatural. And we've met a lot of really nice people along this 1 year journey. And I want to say, first off, number one, thank you to each and every one of you that has been a guest on our show.
Yes.
You guys are awesome. You guys are the reason why we're able to have great guests. We reach out to people all the time, and it's just awesome. And
we can't do it without them.
You can't do it without your.
If it's just you and me talking,
we were talking about the milkman.
Yeah, I mean, it'll get pretty weird.
Yeah,
but these guys and ladies, even like Bishop Rake.
Oh yeah, so she was our first.
Yeah,
she was our first episode.
Yeah,
Archbishop Christina Rake. Yeah,
I was so excited. Awesome. Yeah. She is awesome.
Yeah, she is. So,
and
once again, and also you, the viewers, the listeners,
thank you very
much.
Yeah.
We hope that you guys are enjoying the show. I hope that you guys can reach out to other people, and you can tell people about the Paranormal Guys podcast. So Once again, thank you very much for listening, and thank you to all the people who came this 1 year for us. Thank you. All right, with that being said, it is that time of year again, and like I said, it's October 1st, so that's tour season for Graveside Paranormal, which is our parent company. Yep. We do tours throughout the Chicagoland area, and we are going to be starting it off Friday the 13th. Mm-hmm. We are going to be kicking it off with the Paranormal Nightlife Tour. We have the dates of Friday the 13th, Saturday the 14th, Friday the 20th, Saturday the 21st, and Friday the 27th, and Saturday the 28th.
Now, we are sold out on a couple of these already.
The 14th and I believe the 20th, 21st are already sold out. The other ones,
those 2 Saturdays are sold out.
Yeah, but they are all filling up very quickly, so we recommend that you get your tickets in advance. We put on a dynamic show for each and every one of our customers. Mm-hmm. We've been doing this now. I've been doing it now for about 8 years. Me and Steve together have been doing it for about 6 years. Mm-hmm. And every year we try to bring a little bit more to every tour. And one of the crazy things and awesome things about this tour is we're going into St. James Cemetery at night. We're going to be doing a lantern tour.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Now, the other special tour that we're doing is on October 19th and the 26th. Now, what's cool about this, I have 2 really awesome tour guides for you. Mm-hmm. Now, on the 19th, you can have Mr. Tony Sabowski, who is going to be doing the Supernatural Archer Avenue tour. He is going to be doing that out of the Branding Iron. You guys are going to be exiting from there and going to all the really cool little spots there on the poster there. Going to go to Archer Woods. You're also going to go to St. James and do a lantern tour as well. You're going to hear about the Werewolf Boy, a Sacred Heart Cemetery, Resurrection Mary, and many other stories in Chet's Melody Lounge. So you guys are going to go out and have a good time. Now, on the 26th, it's the same thing. We got our buddy, our pal, my chum, Mr. Bob from Bob After Dark, Mr. Bob Anderson. Bob is awesome. He's a very outgoing type person. You're going to love him. He's going to entertain you. So I recommend either the 19th or the 26th, whichever one you choose, you're going to have a great time. Mm-hmm. And also we got Kylie going out there, the little horror girl.
Right.
She's going to be helping out. So you're going to have some real good fun seeing her as well. So
I heard.
What's that, Steve?
I heard there's going to be a special guest appearance on Thursday.
Ooh, the 19th.
Yeah, yes, I'll be there.
Steve will be there. Yeah. Man, now that's a team right there. Yeah. I'm telling you, you guys are going to have a good time. And then we also have the open house at the Roth House. Mm-hmm. I believe that is the 29th.
I think I just have the ad here for the investigation the night before, which is all sold out right now.
Right.
Sold out real quick. But the day after this.
This is the investigation part, which is from 8 p.m. to about 4 o'clock in the morning. It is sold out. But ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't get your ticket for that, Eventbrite does have a waiting list on there. So you can put your name on the waiting list, and if someone does cancel it, it happens. These things happen. People have things going on in their lives. So if that does happen, you'll be put on the waiting list, okay? Right. So, and then you'll be the next up to, and then we'll get contacted. You'll get contacted, and then you guys can enjoy the fun. But if you don't make it to that one, and we can't, me, Steve, my wife, Sue, and a couple of the other people from Graveside are going to be out there the next following day for an open house. Now, the open house is going to be from only $10 from 1 p.m. to about 8 p.m. at night.
Now, $10 doesn't give you access from 1 to 8, but we have a little.
No. Oh, just thank you for correcting me, Steve. Thank you. So what everybody's going to get is they're going to get 15 to 20 minutes on every floor. It's an open house.
There's 3 floors, right?
Right. There's 3 floors. The thing is, you're going to then get a recording device. And at the end of it, we're going to send it to your email so you can listen to it later to see if you caught any evidence. Like I tell a lot of people, they go into certain haunted areas and they go, oh, there was nothing, blah, blah, blah. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, the things that we in our regular life can't hear or see. Mm-hmm. But if all of a sudden you start picking these things up in the recordings, now you got yourself evidence. So I recommend, and it's a very spiritually activated house.
I'm genuinely convinced that this place is haunted.
Oh, I know it is.
Like very active.
We've heard disembodied voices of a young lady inside this place. I mean, it's
even I heard it, and I'm deaf, practically.
Definitely. So we recommend that people come out to this one. I'm also going to buy some treats. So I'm going to bring some treats.
Treats?
Yeah, I'm going to bring some treats. So
what do you mean?
That's for people to see. I'm gonna make a purchase out of Neal's own little pocket.
Oh, that deep pocket?
That deep pocket that has a lot of lint in it.
Nice.
No, but Neal's going to make a purchase because I want everybody to have a great time.
Right.
So it's very important to me and to Steve that everybody has a great time. It's not just about just listening to the stories and this and that. It's about you being entertained and enjoying the day with you and your friends, your family.
Right. Right.
So
like the Rough House is got to be on everybody's bucket list to investigate if you're in the area. And if you haven't gone already, it's very spiritually active home. It's in Watsika, Illinois. It's not that far. And for $10 and 45 minutes in this place to walk around and just be in it, it is amazing. It's historically amazing.
You know what? I almost forgot. We're going to have Mr. Jacob Mayfield out there.
We have more
He's going to be doing readings out there.
Jacob has been one of our guests this year on our first year of this podcast, and he was fun. He's a great guy.
Nice guy, great guy. So Jacob Mayfield is going to be out there. I apologize, Jacob, if all of a sudden I lost that from my mind for a second. A lot of things
He's getting old, Jacob.
Yes, I am. It's true.
Forgetful.
So Jacob's going to be out there. He's going to be doing readings for people. That is a separate cost, but it's very reasonable cost. So I do recommend that you guys come out there and enjoy the day. With that being said, we are now going to move on into news. Does that sound okay with you, Steve?
It sounds amazing.
Of course it does.
All right. Let's do the news.
The news. All right, in the news, Chucky doll, Steve.
Chucky doll.
This comes from Coast to Coast AM. I love Coast to Coast AM. I've been listening to it ever since I've been listening to Art Bell back in the day of the early 90s. So the doll has been used to scare people in handing over money during a spate of recent robberies. So they're using the Chucky doll to rob people, thinking that it's alive. We're going to show a video in a second, but let me tell you about the article. If you happen to be a child of the 80s and managed to catch Child's Play, which is the movie of Chucky, on TV before bed, you might have some rather unpleasant memories of the franchise's killer doll antagonist, Chucky. Now, it seems that the flame-haired, that means red-haired plastic menace has been up to his old tricks again. This time, he's in Mexico. It's a new episode. He's in Mexico, where he was recently arrested for his role in robberies. According to reports, the perpetrator behind the particular version of Chucky, a man known only as Carlos N., had given him a knife. Now, he gave the doll a knife and had used him to scare people into handing over their cash. When the police caught up with the suspect, they arrested the doll and even posed for photographs with Chucky in handcuffs for a laugh. The officer responsible was later reprimanded for not taking their job more seriously. Now, here, hold on a second, man. I don't know. I'd have to take pictures too, because you want to know it's humorous. You're only human. Don't be reprimanding people. That I find that to be wrong. Yeah, get yourself a little laughter, man. I think everybody's going to get a good laugh out of that. I mean, it's just the guy who did it. You know, he should be the one reprimanded for just doing dumb stuff. So he put the doll in their faces and was scaring people. It is an offense, and for this reason, he was arrested. Juan Raul Alicer, a police officer of Moncalvo police, said that the suspect was arrested. So we're going to show you the video of what happened, and it's in Spanish, so I'm going to do my best voiceover I can't.
All right, you're going to translate, right?
I'm going to translate. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do
All right. It's kind of loud, but do your best. Here we go.
Do my best.
He's
saying, I can't believe this Chucky doll came to life. Watch yourself, young lady. He does have a knife. You just get up against the wall, says the police officer. He's pretty tall, says the female officer. Oh, I'm in handcuffs. Take another picture of him. Why are we allowing him to have the knife inside of his pocket at this time? Hold that knife. Don't get too close.
That's a butter knife.
Yeah.
What the
heck?
That's crazy.
Did you like my translation?
It was perfect. I mean, from high school Spanish. I mean, you're spot on with that.
I'm good. That boy good. That boy good.
I didn't know you could translate that well.
Man, stop.
Oh,
don't you know my name, fool? Come on.
Wow.
So that's actually an interesting story. I mean,
it ties in with your last story last week or last 2 weeks about the ventriloquist.
Oh yeah. Now that's
what if they found a little boy's body inside that Chucky doll?
So speaking of this, okay, speaking of that doll that we talked about, that was a real life little boy that was inside this doll that we talked about. They actually have video of some midgets dressing up as Chucky.
Small people. They're called.
I'm sorry. Small people. I had to click correct.
No, are they little people?
Little people. I apologize.
Yeah.
Neal Gibbons apologizes. So these little
is that the right word though? Little people, or I think it.
I don't know. I don't know.
Differently tall.
Well, I'm vertically challenged myself.
Vertically challenged.
I'm vertically challenged myself. I'm only at least 5'5", 5'6" on a good day.
Okay.
I mean, so these maybe I fall in that realm. I don't know.
So what you're saying, these little people who dress up as Chucky and chase people in parking lots?
Yeah, so I was watching these videos and these guys are chasing after people, and people are like this. Oh my god,
that's amazing.
They got inside these boxes and they were all lined up at a toy store.
Okay.
And all of a sudden they broke out and these people are wigging out. Oh my god, it was hilarious.
You ever see the Walmart parking lot commercial or not commercial, but video where a lady's like putting her shopping cart back and then a little Chucky guy runs out and starts chasing her down the street. That's awesome.
So to all my friendly wee people out there, don't be a Chucky. Don't be a Chucky.
Don't be a Chucky.
Don't be a Chucky. All right. So, Steve, what kind of news do you got for us today?
So, I have an interesting story about the power of God. Maybe. Maybe not. Mm-hmm. But definitely Pastor Daniel. Do you know about Pastor Daniel?
No.
Pastor Daniel is, he's out of Africa. He's an African pastor. Mm-hmm. And he decided to show his congregation that he has the protection of God. And so he did this by sneaking into a lion's den at the zoo with his congregation behind him. And I guess a little video is better than anything I could describe. So check this out. Check this out. This happened. What do you think of that?
Yeah, he's dumb. He's dumb.
The cat, they're like, this is a crazy cat in here.
I don't know why people go and play with these animals.
Man,
they're
dangerous. My cat is a Siamese cat, and I wouldn't do that to him. He'll scratch me.
Yeah.
But maybe Pastor Daniel has like the protection of God on him. But
either that or the lions and the lioness down there. Her stomachs are full. It's very.
Let's look at this one more time. You ever see like those challenge kids who pet dogs too hard, and like, honey, don't pet the dog that rough.
Yeah, you're not supposed to bite your ears too rough. Or
Pastor Dan, like he's like hitting the lion, like one of those kids that are kind of like emotionally different. Maybe, I don't know. That was dangerous, dude. That's dangerous.
It's not wise.
No, he's probably not going to be with us too much longer.
Not too much longer. All right. Well, that is the news for today, boys. Oh, hold on.
What?
So do you know what's coming out this Friday?
A new movie. What's it called?
It is called The Exorcist Believer. I think it's Believer or Believed. I had to go see this. I had to go see it because I saw the original of The Exorcist.
Wait,
where they now have two girls who are
two girls,
and the original mom for the original movie is in it.
Wait, is this like an actual canon like Exorcist movie, or is this like
It's canon. Yeah, it's a continuation. Is from what I'm seeing in the YouTube videos, these little trailers. It's a continuation, and I'm gonna tell you something, man. This movie looks scary. This movie looks scary, man. I gotta go see
twins?
This one. No, they're not. They're two separate girls. They're like friends. I don't know what happens. I can't wait to see the movie. One other thing before we get into it, we are going to be out at the Haunted YMCA this upcoming Saturday. This is our last announcement. We're going to be at the Haunted Rock Island YMCA in Paracon. The Paranormal guys are going to be out there October 7th, which is this upcoming Sunday, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We are going to be talking about evidence. We're going to be showing evidence at around 12 o'clock to about 12:30 or 12:40. So I recommend people, if you're in the Rock Island YMCA area for the Paracon, come on out. Paraflix is a sponsor. Hellaflix, Paracon as well. Unturned Pages and Ocean Eye Crystals and Studio 6 Productions and WLTK DB radio station, I'm assuming, is going to be out there. So I recommend. There's going to be a lot of people out there. There's going to be some celebrities out there who are in the paranormal field. I just read that Mr. Dave Schrader is going to be out there. So come on out, have a good time, meet the paranormal guys, Graveside Paranormal, because we're starting out the season. We're going full throttle forward, and we are going to just have a great time this month of October. And
in November, we're going to eat turkey and relax.
Yeah, we're going to chill out. We're going to. Oh, just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be doing just one more podcast. We're going to do a live one with Pat and Rebecca on the 17th. I believe that's a Sunday. I know it's a Sunday. It's the 17th. We are going to be showing evidence of the Crown Point Jail. We gathered a lot of evidence, a lot of EVPs, and some astounding visual evidence from our EMFs. And I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. So we're going to have on Pat and Rebecca from Ghostly Podcast.
And just to say, from Pat from Ghostly Podcast, he's the skeptic, and he was there. And the most interesting thing that night happened after he left.
I know he leaves. Unfortunately, it's not for everybody. Staying up late hours, it's not for everybody, and I get that, Yeah. And plus, it was a cold environment. It was wet and this and that. I mean, we're used to doing these kinds of things, but I know not everybody is. So it is what it is.
Sometimes it's just worth it to stay a little bit, and when you least expect it on an investigation, it's been my experience. When you least expect it, that's when something happens.
So after this live one, we're going to take a little bit of time off. We're probably going to come back like mid-January. So if you all of a sudden you don't hear from us for a minute, we didn't quit.
We're not dead. Well, hopefully we're not dead.
Yeah, hopefully we're not dead. And so stay tuned. We will be back. We have to just need to take a little bit of a break. We're running ourselves ragged. Yeah. But we love doing this. This is what we truly love to do. So next, Mr. Brad Pate, the assistant to the Exorcist, Father Mike Maginot from the Demon House. Boo.
Oh, Neal. I wish I had just one more chance to go on your tour.
Oh, hello. Well, guess what? You do this year. This October Halloween season, Graveside Paranormal is going to give you the best of the best. Come on out for our annual nightlife tour, which we are going to actually start off on Friday the 13th at 115 Bourbon Street every Friday and Saturday night in October. And guess what, boys and girls? You come out also, guess what? On Thursday nights, 2 Thursdays, October 19th and October 26th, we are going to be having a tour from the Branding Iron, the Pavilion. It'll be going out there. On the 19th, you're going to have special guest host, who is going to be Mr. Tony Sabowski. And on the 26th, which is another Thursday night, you're going to have Mr. Bob from Bob After Dark. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to once again get into St. James Cemetery at night for a nice little lantern tour. Most of you will be able to grab a little lantern, and we're going to walk through the cemetery at night. So come on out this October. and enjoy the great stories that Graveside Paranormal delivers. And as always, boo.
Get tickets at tours.gravesideparanormal.com. Boo. And now, back to the Paranormal Guys podcast.
All right, we're back from the messages from Graveside Paranormal as well as the Paranormal Guys podcast. Steve, are you ready?
I'm excited.
You better grab your holy water.
I have some refresh purified drinking water.
Well, I don't know if that'll help you. I mean, it might help you refresh you. Yes. But other than that, tonight we have a very interesting guest. We are going to have the researching assistant to the Exorcist, Father Mike Maginot. He's well known for the Demon House. That's been seen on like Zach Bagans. Mr. Brad Pate here is the assistant to the Exorcist, and we're going to pick his brain and ask him, how does someone become an assistant, and all the experiences that he's had since being an assistant for Father Mike. So let's bring him in. Brad, come on in.
Hey, Brad. How are you?
Hey, Brad. How are you today?
Good.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, dude, I'm glad that you're here, man. You and I have talked on the phone, and you know, me and Brad, we met originally at Jack's Paracon,
right?
Because I was doing a vendor thing next to Chris Fleming, very nice guy, and we just started talking, and then we were just talking about like, because he told me what he was doing. I said, "Get out of here, man!" I go, "You're an assistant to the Exorcist?" He goes, "Yeah." And so we started talking, and I was talking about a case that I've been going over, and he said, "Well, these are the questions that you have to ask." And I said, "Oh, I don't know if I can ask certain questions. Some things I feel a little uncomfortable, but I believe you're trying to put me on the right track." And then we met a second time at Chris Fleming's thing, and Brad presented me with this beautiful crucifix, Steve. I mean, I was like this. I was like, "Wow!" He said, "He goes, I had this feeling inside. I grabbed 3 of them. I need to give it to some people, so I wanted to make sure that." For some reason, I felt like you're one of them to be given to. And I was actually taken back by that. I was like, wow, man, someone's giving me something like that. And I thought that was so nice. And I thanked you for it. I talked to you on the phone again. I thank you for it. I gave you a hug, too. I also gave you that hug.
Thank you.
That's a Neal Gibbons hug.
Oh, boy. Those are special.
And you know, and so I thought just by talking to Brad, I found him very interesting. I said, man, I got to get this guy on. Just to find out, you know, what does an assistant to the Exorcist actually do? But before that, Brad, I want to know a little bit more about you.
Okay.
How did you get into the wanting to be the assistant? But before that, what was your first paranormal thing that ever happened to you?
My first paranormal thing ever happened to me when I was a little kid. I'm from Southern Indiana. Near Evansville, Indiana, down south near Kentucky and Indiana and Illinois. And I grew up on a farm, a 63-acre farm. And when I was about 6 years old, we lived out in the country, and it was a winter time, and there was snow on the ground. And my cousin, my sister, and I were downstairs, and we saw a lady in white outside the window, and it scared us. And we ran upstairs and told my parents, and they go downstairs, and actually there was footprints in the snow, but there was nobody there.
Was there any legendary stories of that being in your area?
Nope.
No,
none.
Just so that was your first introduction to something paranormal that you didn't understand.
Never understood it.
And a lady in white is like
there's always a lady in white somewhere. I'm telling you, they're all over the world. These ladies in white.
Yeah.
Right.
Now the second thing I ever had was when I was 19. I was fishing. I loved to fish and hunt and stuff. Used to, and I was fishing in a lake on a farm, and it was middle of March. And I caught a fish, and from there, I didn't have my pliers. I only had a knife, and I tried to cut the hook out of the fish's mouth. And from there, I kind of stabbed myself in the hand. I fell out of the boat. And what's really, really wild is we talked about the lady in white. Next thing I know, I'm reaching for a light, and it was a woman type figure. And I was reaching out to her, and she told me it wasn't my time. So the next thing I know is I am swimming to the surface. Miraculously, the boat was next to my head. When I came to the surface, I grab a hold of the boat. I pull myself in the boat, and there's no way I got in that boat unless God or Jesus or Blessed Mother or the angels, guardian angels, got me in the boat because I was throwing up water, and there's no way I did that. So
wow, so
you were just lady in white.
What's that, Steve?
Do you believe the lady in white is an angel?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Like the first impression I had when you mentioned a lady in white earlier was an angelic.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yep. Now my first ghost story I ever had was I was a ski instructor in Colorado, in a little town called Georgetown, Colorado, at the base of the Eisenhower Tunnel on I-70, and I lived in this town. Is like supposed to be one of the most haunted towns in Colorado, and I was living in this house that about 2:00 in the morning. I was sleeping on the couch. My wife was in our bedroom, and I was getting up to go to the bathroom or something, and I looked out in Colorado in the mountains, the snow and then the moonlight, or so it's like you can see outside all day. And I had the back sliding door open, and I looked out, and I saw a man standing at my door, and I was like, "Whoa, what is that?" And I started looking at him. I was like, "Wow, I can see through that person." And gentleman looked like a miner, like an old miner.
Okay.
And so it freaked me out, scared me. And I laid back down on the couch, and I was actually, what was so intriguing is he stood there, and I kind of rolled off the couch, and I started peeking around the corner of the couch, trying to see if he was there still. And I started pinching myself just to make sure I wasn't dreaming. And he was there, he just looking around. So next thing I know, after about 15, 20 minutes, I was watching him, and I finally, he was gone, and I ran to the bedroom, and I was shaking, and my wife asked me what was going on. I said nothing. So the next day, I became very intrigued about what happened. You know, I like history, and I went to downtown of the city, and there was a place called Haunted Cafe, and it used to be on there was an episode done on sightings. I think that's what it was called back in 96, 97, 1996.
Love that show.
Yeah. So, anyways, I went in and I started, because the name of the place was Haunted Cafe, and I asked the gentleman, I said, "I'm going to tell you something. I kind of saw something that, I don't know what it is." And I told him what it was, and the guy goes, "Oh yeah," he said, people see it all the time. We're like, "What?" And they said what happened was the subdivision where I owned my house back there, right beyond that, where that was, they were building a subdivision, and it used to be the old graveyard. So they moved the graveyard out to the new graveyard to build houses, and they think they disturbed that area. So that's probably that's one of my things. So
okay, you know what? I want to bring up something before we carry on with this conversation.
Sure.
I was going to say something before, because we all meet up before we start doing a live broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was getting a feeling about something. It's already been happening. I already had the feeling I was going to tell you guys that we're going to have electronic problems in this broadcast. Reason why is because I've been having problems since yesterday with certain things in my personal life. but it's because I've noticed when we talk about certain things like this, that for whatever reason we start having electronic problems.
Right.
Steve already went out, so
Yep.
I was about to tell you guys, but I said, no, just let it go, Neal.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the last time we talked with someone about this kind of a subject, we get electronic problems.
Yes.
And I was getting that feeling when you were telling us some stories off air for a little while. And I said, we're going to have problems tonight. So let's keep that in mind, because Steve, people may have not noticed, unless you're on our YouTube channel, that Steve popped out because his stream went down. I believe that there are forces, and people can call me crazy all they want. I don't care.
You're not crazy.
Is that I believe there are forces at work that cause certain things like this because they don't want the knowledge. I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the room or any of that stuff, or this being broadcast, things like this being broadcast to people who may have picked it up and go like this, oh my God, maybe something like this is going on in my life, or maybe someone in my life who I love, that maybe this stuff is going on. So, and actually talking about that is, let me bring you into, Brad, again, is that, so let's move you along. You became an assistant to Father Mike Maginot.
Correct.
What brought you into wanting to go in this field? I mean, it's not a field where, like, you get something in the newspaper that says help wanted.
Yeah, you don't sign up for this job, okay? Right. This career, you do not sign up. God gives you a special gift to be able to do this stuff. And back in 2012, I met a family. I had a brain injury in 2006, and I started seeing things, feeling things that were not normal. And I went to a paranormal event, and there was a psychic test done. And I told you about that, Neal, before.
Yeah.
Where I was in a room, and I basically saw things in a vision when I was listening to some white noise. And I go out, and a lady was holding on to a trigger object that was it was a small little bag, and I kind of freaked everybody out because there's a lot of paranormal group people around there, and I kind of basically told the people it was 4 pebbles, red, green, brown, blue. And my friend that was there, that I never met these people, said it was actually 4 pebbles, but it was like red, brown, or red, green, blue, and black. But I was so close, it freaked everybody out. So, anyways, a lot of people used to call me. They called me for psychic things, and I was like, no, I'm not part of that. And so I, a family, about September of 2012, a family that I met, became good friends with. They were Catholic, and they were a paranormal group, but they also had where they helped people with, demonic cases, possibly. And they were telling me about a case in southern Indiana where something talks out loud, just like you and I are talking, but nothing was there. It would manifest. It would start fires. It drew things out on the remote control. It would get stuck in a room, and it would flip couches. It was a poltergeist-like thing.
So poltergeist activity was going on.
Yeah. But it was an entity. There was an entity there that would talk to the families. Like, give me an example, is it would go in the car with the people. And you want to talk about electronics. This thing would literally would go in the car with them, and when the dad was driving, he could literally feel this thing on the back of his back. It would be hitting the back of the seat, and no one could see it. And like their grandson went to Bloomington, IU Bloomington, and when they were there, the automatic doors kept going back and forth, and he'd actually have to unplug the battery to be able to stop it. And I heard about this, and I, we all get dreams of things. People don't realize all people get visions of things.
Sure,
Sometimes people understand it, some people don't understand it. And some people believe in them, people don't believe in them. But I had a dream in September of 2012 that I needed to get in this field. I was interested in it, and I needed to study, possibly become a demonologist. So, anyways, the next day when I woke up, I wrote all this down, and I called the family that I was helping, and I told them, I said, what's going on? And they were like, well, okay. There's like, well, there's a Catholic priest in Indianapolis. We know this exorcist priest. His name's Father Vince Lampert. And he's given a speech at the local college. So that was that evening. So I went to watched him at the local college, and unfortunately, afterwards, I went and talked to Father Vince and told him, the kind of the gift that I have, and I wanted to learn how to help people in the spiritual realm.
Sure, of course.
And not in the aspect of a psychic ability or anything like that. I'm talking about faith. True faith in the angels, true faith in God. The true faith in Jesus and in the Holy Spirit. We don't. And that's what Satan, and because there is a Satan, people don't understand that there is a devil. Okay. There is entities, there's unclean spirits that they manipulate people to do bad things in this world.
Yes.
And,
yes.
We see it each day, but sometimes we don't want to admit to it. But anyway, I was telling him about it, and he just blew me off. And I was like, because he kind of told me that my gift that I had was from darkness. And I was like, no, I'm not, I just got this gift that, so I was very upset that evening, and I went home and told my wife about it. And so I kind of just didn't do anything after that. And I was working with my faith more. So the following year in August of 2013, this family asked me to please take a look at the case. Please try to use what you see and to help this family. And I'm like, okay, I'll be happy to do that. So for some reason, I started working on this case, and it's in southern Indiana where I grew up. And what's crazy is I was living in Carmel, Indiana at the time. I'd moved up in 2010 from southern Indiana, and this case that came to me was basically my first case. It took me back to 17 miles from where I grew up my whole life.
Really?
Yeah, it was phenomenal craziness. And so when I went there, they took me there, and it came to be that their son died in a car accident just down the street. And we went and went to the the site where the gentleman passed away, and then we went and saw the family, and I sat down with the family, and I was there was something that was around that it just did not like me being around. And the mom looked at me and asked me, said, did this thing have something to do with my son's passing? And I said, out of the blue, I said, yeah, something happened.
Wow. And
she was like, I knew it. And but what was really bad is these things can talk through people, and the people don't realize they're talking through you. Okay, they don't. People don't understand it because they manipulate the frequency. I believe the theory is they manipulate the frequency in our minds. Okay, and they know how to change that frequency. So this lady said that to me, and I didn't realize that I was actually talking to the darkness that was actually there at the house. It was talking through her, because she wasn't possessed. It was just this thing knew how to manipulate it, and it did not like what I knew. And from there, talking about electronics. I had at the time I was using a Samsung Note, with the stylus.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day when I went to my mother's house in that near area, literally on my phone, it started drawing out pictures on my phone.
Wow, really?
Yeah, out of the blue. It just started scribbling things. And because I knew it was around, it's just because people don't realize these things are always around us. We just don't sense them sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And because a lot of people, I feel, they just want to see it with their eyes. They don't want to listen. They don't want to feel. Okay, our natural instinct is to feel,
Empathy.
but we want to see with our eyes. And so, anyways, this thing, it was going around with it was around me, and it just knew that I knew the things. And literally, this is what's crazy is my wife and I, we on November 3rd of 2013, we went to the Catholic Church in Carmel, Indiana, and I'd been working on this case. And actually, I met with Father Vince a couple days before that, and because I wanted him to help me with the case, and he basically told me he couldn't do nothing for him. And I was like, well, okay. So I was trying to help the family myself, and and this is where it leads into me meeting Father Mike Majda.
Right.
Is that this entity actually went in the church with my wife and I.
Wow.
And I knew this thing was around because these things can go anywhere. It don't matter if it's church, if it's wherever, they will go anywhere. And they might not like it, but they will go there. And went to up to the altar, and I do being Catholic, in which I'm not even Catholic, I'm actually Methodist, but I wasn't understanding that you don't take communion. But my wife, she took communion, and when we were walking away, the altar boy came up to us and said, "You can't take communion. You're not Catholic." The thing of it is, this kid would never have known that my wife wasn't Catholic. You just take the post and you just take it and walk away if you're Catholic.
So this was a kid you never met or anything
never
like that.
Met,
out of the blue, he just comes up and tells you this.
Correct. That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah. And then from there, I was trying to help the family. I was getting another Catholic priest involved in Southern Indiana. And then Father Vince turned me on to a non-denominational minister, and I was having him come there, and it ran him off. It scared him, and he ran away like it was nothing. And so I stopped helping the family a little bit because I didn't know really how to help them because I was brand new at this. So January of 2014, I got a call from the family, and they were like, "Brad, you're the only one that's told us the truth about this, and can you please try to help us?" And because their other son was in a car wreck, and he almost he got hurt really bad, but he recovered. But so, anyways, I told the family that I would help, try to help them. And the thing of it is I could never understand what was going on with this case until I finally found out that there's the car that the family actually put in the backyard after the gentleman passed away, because these people were farmers. And what was happening is this car was the trigger object where the mom and dad woke up each day, and they would look out at the car, reminding them that their son died in that car. And it was the memory that this thing was feeding on.
Their pain.
It was their pain and their suffering. And once we figured that out, but anyways, at the end of January 2014, Father Mike Majda, I woke up in the morning and went to read my news on the internet, and I saw that Father Mike Majda exorcist priest from Gary, Indiana, performs exorcism on a kid that walked up the wall backwards in the Gary hospital. And I was like, wow, that's cool. Let's compare notes. And
wow, that's cool.
I'm going to give him a call. I'm going to see.
See that every
I've already
day.
been blown off by one Catholic priest. Let's see if he blows me off. So, anyways, I called Father Mike, and he answered on the first call. And from there, he said, "Sure, I'm interested in listening." So I drove up from Carmel area to Maryville, and I'm like going in, and the guy was nice as can be, and we hit it off, and ever since then, him and I've worked together, and he's my best friend. So I love him to death. So
that's great. That's really, really good. Like take for instance, like us, we it's actually odd how me and Steve met, and then the other members of the team did. Sometimes, shall I use the word destiny? I don't know if that's too strong of a word.
Yeah, they use it because it's true.
I believe that certain people are brought together. Like we had a person on about reincarnation, and they said that me and Steve have been knowing each other for years, that we were actually monks at one time.
And not the Kung Fu kind.
Not the Kung Fu kind.
Well, I might have just kind. We were the religious kind of monk.
Yeah,
not the cool ones.
But it's interesting the stories that that the people that we meet, and everything just seems to click, just like how you met Father Maginot, and then things just seem to click. Is there a reason and a rhyme for things? Maybe so. Maybe so.
At first, when I first started this field, I tried to figure out, why am I meeting all these people? What is it? And it is, we are destined in this world to do things. And the thing of it is darkness tries to keep us from going. And I believe that in my faith, that darkness will try to keep you from reaching that destiny. And like we were talking, this field that, when what I do with Father Mike, and even the field that you guys are in, people don't realize you're called to it. It's, and I do have dealt with, paranormal investigators and stuff, and some of them are that they're just searching to find out what's out there. If this stuff is real. All right. Then I come across people that truly, truly want to help people because they love people. And, and that's, I tell people that we're all brought together for a reason, and all we have in this world is each other. That's it.
Right.
It's the truth. It doesn't matter what kind of car you got. It don't matter what kind of house you got. All we have is each other. And especially once we if you believe in going to heaven, or you believe in going to, down below, we all we have is each other. And
I agree with that completely.
But Father Mike is one of the most holy men that you'd ever meet. And
cool. And I'm hoping to meet Father Mike very, very soon.
Oh yeah, I've already talked to him. He would love to talk with you guys. And you want to talk about stories? That man's got some stories, and he's very funny. So
I'm sure he is. I remember we were talking on the phone, and he was in the background singing some song that he had on, and he was like all his happiest. I never met the man, but I could tell right off the bat that this guy's just sitting there, just singing, just being happy. And I'm
one of the things that we do, Father Mike and I do, and we, my wife, and we have other people help us. You've met Teresa and talked to her.
Yeah.
She unfortunately, Father had some medical condition this past year.
Yes.
He actually had his back in end of March. He had his left up to his almost to his knee. He had on his left leg had it amputated. So now he's got his prosthesis, and he's actually better than he ever been ever since I met the man. So
he keeps in good spirits. I'll tell you that.
Oh, he is, and And what's crazy is his favorite group. Okay, and this is when I first started talking to him. Is we were trying to get to know each other, and he asked me what kind of music I like. Well, I was like, I like oldness. I like Elvis. Things like that. He goes, yeah. He goes, my favorite group is Pink Floyd.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was like, what? You're Catholic priest. You can't like Pink Floyd. So one of the things we enjoy to do is him and I to go to tribute bands and
nice.
And there's a group called Echoes of Pompeii. That's Jason and Jeremy of Echoes of Pompeii. It's a tribute band. They're out of Valparaiso, I believe, and they travel around this area, do Pink Floyd tribute stuff, and we became really good friends with them. And that's what we enjoy to do.
How's everybody doing tonight? And every night here in October at Graveside Paranormal.
All right, we're back. We're back with Mr. Brad Pate. He is the researching assistant to the Exorcist, Father Mike Maginot. What we're going to talk about now is a little bit of evidence that he sent us, and we're going to go through some of these things. And for those of you who have the YouTube and also on Spotify, you're able to see some of these things that he has sent us of evidence. Let's start with one of the first pictures. Steve, can you pull it up for us, please, and take us through this? Take us through this, Brad. What are we looking at here?
That's from one of the first cases. That's from the case that I first got called to. That's evidence that the family collected, that this entity actually drew that out on the remote control. And what's really crazy about that case, it literally would manifest. It would take the keys of the car, and it would actually appear in midair and drop on the ground.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And it also had is, I believe, I think they were telling me that, and I did not witness this, but a Pepsi can, they saw it go from one side of the refrigerator door to the other side of the refrigerator door.
Wow.
And it knew how to do that.
Well, you know what else they should have probably done? I'm going to be honest with you, Brad. They should have probably got a Clorox wipe and clean that darn remote control.
Once in a while.
Neal, I never really caught that. So
I'm like this. I'm like, man, this person really is not cleaning his stuff.
Yeah.
Now,
you're all right with that one.
How did he? So that looks etched with a knife.
They actually believe it had. Believe it or not, this thing would scratch you, and because they do. It's like they have claws, and it literally scratched that into the with its finger. It did that. So
one thing I want to point out about that picture there, I'm not saying yay or nay on it, but what I am saying is it's almost like perforated.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if it was a knife that was going into it, Steve,
mm-hmm.
and it's a remote control which is made of plastic,
mm-hmm.
if I did a knife in that, don't you think you would see in marks? Like it looks more perforated, doesn't it?
You mean like a hole punched in and then like several holes? Punch.
It's like it's coming out.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Do you see what I'm saying? If I was to do that with a knife, I'm just saying, I would then have what looks like knife marks inside there, like if you cut a piece of meat or anything like that, too. So interesting photo. Take us to the next one now, Steve. So what are we looking at here?
That's the granddaughter's arm. It appeared on the granddaughter's arm.
And that's it looks like a big thumb. And maybe
like a burn mark.
Hand.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Now, did this just appear on her arm?
That one just appeared.
And was there a pain associated with it, like a burn? Okay. And then how long did that mark stay on her?
I do not have that answer.
Okay. But it was long enough for people to gather around and her to talk about it.
Yeah.
What was the situation in which this appeared? Like, was she minding her own business? Was she acting weird?
Actually, I believe she was just minding her own business at the house. She was young. And the thing is what people don't realize is these things go after your children. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when they go after their children, and especially with moms, okay, they want the mom to mess up and basically say, stop picking on my kids, pick on me. From there, they're inviting it in, and it's a new ball game from that point.
And giving it attention, you're giving more attention to it then.
Yeah.
Right.
Now I'll tell you what's also this, and you want to talk about electronics. This thing actually would, besides talking out loud like you and I are talking, this thing actually started communicating through the television to the family, and they thought it was their son that was actually communicating with them. Remember I was telling you that these things know kind of what's in your mind, your thoughts.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That's what it was doing. It was reading the family's thoughts, thinking that it was their son, but it wasn't their son. It was an entity that basically just was going to, cause, havoc on the family.
So we've actually had cases like this where, like, and I explain this to people about manipulative spirits. I explain to them what they're going to do is they are going to use children voices.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Because they want to lure you in, because it sounds like the most innocent thing.
Mm-hmm. And
it does that with children. So it can lure you in, and then it attracts the children to it, and then before you know it, the child has an attachment.
Right.
And it's sometimes you don't recognize it until a little bit later, but these things do exist. I know this is, in fact, we've caught it on evidence on some of our recordings of a young boy's voice that we know is not a young boy.
Not a young boy.
It's not a young boy.
We talk about EVPs, we talk about, ghosts and things like that, and little children, because the biggest things these things will try to do is they'll mimic kids, and they'll mimic, older grandmothers, okay? And what they're doing is they know how to mimic that, because it makes us feel that, hey, we feel sorry for you, so can we be friends with you? I'm sorry that you haven't moved on.
Right.
And from there, guess what? That's what they want. They want to trap you. It is a battle. It's a spiritual battle between, each and every day with people.
Right. And if you're not a strong-willed person, you're going to slowly decline.
That's correct.
Now, recognizing that it's not what it says it is seems to turn it off. For example, Neal and I have been to a place called the Sally House. It's a famous haunting in Atchison, Kansas, and men would get scratches in that house. There would be a lot of physical attacks, and there would be an entity that was believed to be a little girl named Sally. Mm-hmm. And Neal and I were in this house, and we were getting a lot of activity, like a lot of investigators do. And then Neal says something, and we've done this a few times. Neal goes, "This is not a little girl. This is a demon pretending to be a little girl." And all of a sudden, nothing. Everything stopped. No more activity. It was like a regular house at that point. Does calling them out?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you're telling the truth. You're telling the truth.
Exactly.
That's the thing, is you're telling the truth, and they know the gig is up. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this is, I have a very, very good friend that's a paranormal investigator from Indianapolis, and him and I's had some, very deep discussions, and he actually stopped investigating with me a few times, because when I would go to the people's house and everybody's like, well, that's the grandmother or it's the mom. And, for one, and unfortunately, I get a lot of cases from people, and they're like, Brad, can you take a look at this? And I'm like, sure. And he stopped actually kind of investigating with me, because he was thinking that I always thought these people were possessed or there was demonic entity. Okay. What was going on? What's really crazy is I have tests that I can perform with people, okay? And they're actually religious tests that, from holy water, people drinking holy water, to putting a crucifix on their forehead or on the back of their neck, to listening certain audio, video from, they don't like the Book of Job. If it is in somebody or there's an attachment, you play the Book of Job. They don't like that. And it will start showing. And I've had where my friend, I get called to a case, and he's like, well, it's a ghost. And I'm like, okay. So I go there, and I start talking to the family, and I find out the mom has had issues with their son because the son got into drugs. And then from there, I see it's going after the mom. So I sit down with the mom. I do some tests. And what's really crazy is once they start listening to the testing that's going on, and it's just like what you said, is once it's the gig's up. And it's like, uh-oh, we're leaving. Because, you know what, for one, and they do know. It's like they do know who we are. They know who Father Mike Maginot is. They know who I am. And it really, it does stink. Yeah. And they just it's like, uh-oh, we got to deal with them. Let's go.
And one of the things that I've noticed doing what we do is that when these entities, at least for me it does, is that they try to always enter into the back end of your neck.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I don't know. I really don't even know what that means, to be honest with you. But there's some kind of entry point, and I've talked to this with other people who are in the field that we're in, who are understanding what I'm talking about. Okay, but I believe that there is an entry point, and I believe that's at the base of your neck.
Yes, and my good friend David and I have talked about this. And when I do deliverances with people, okay, because I do deliverances, okay, Father Mike does the exorcism on the people once it's approved by the church, or approved by the bishop and other bishops and things that we've worked with. But I do deliverances, and one of the things I do is put the St. Benedict medal on the back of people's neck, at the base of the neck. And it's like it short circuits. It's like it's in their mind and everything. And it's like that area, it literally like short circuits the entity itself.
Right.
And it this is all theories, but you are onto something with that. Because when I have done deliverances on people, I put the crucifix or the cross on the back of the neck, and especially with the St. Benedict medal, St. Benedict cross, and it just, they dissipate. They just go away.
Right, because I've had it where it's where the entity will come into the base of my neck, and I take on its characteristics. I feel its emotions.
Yep.
I feel who or what it is. And like I sit there and I'll keep my head down, because we actually did this at, like Steve was talking about, the Sally house. But I remember coming in there, and I know this is going to sound odd, but I said, you're not in control. I go, I'm in my head, I'm saying this. You're not in control. I'm in control. I go, at this time, by the blood of Jesus Christ, you are to leave me. But it has to be the projection of faith. That actually
faith, it has to come from your heart. It has to come from your soul. Okay,
right.
It can't come from your mind, because, like I said, these things mess with your mind. Okay?
Right.
You have to mean it. It's that energy inside you that you're projecting outwards, and they don't like that.
Yeah,
they don't like that.
And don't get me wrong, when these things happen, for the next day or two, you're going to be sick. You just are. You're sick after this. I don't particularly like it that much. I don't think anybody would, but it's just we want to bring knowledge to people. Is that some of these are the things that do happen with stuff like that? At least from my experience.
I will let you know something. Believe it or not, I tell people, and I have found in one. Let's talk about holy water a little bit. Holy water, and I believe we talked about this, that the molecules, when you pray over holy water, it actually holds its memory, okay, and its energy. And the actual when Father Mike does the blessing on holy water, he uses salt, and by mixing with the water, one of the things I have done, and there's a Catholic priest that actually is, he's now in Michigan. He's an older gentleman. He's been in the deliverance field, exorcism field, since 1973, I believe he said.
Okay.
And he told me, he said, Brad, he said, if you ever have somebody with an attachment or has spiritual issues, let them drink some holy water. Give them, Father Mike, the holy water, and you let them drink it. And I do that, and it helps. It helps, and just like you feel drained for a few days, I do too, and I drink the holy water, and because our body is made up of water,
right?
And it's kind of funny. It's not actually funny, but I kind of joke with people sometimes. I was like, well, when people get baptized, because believe it or not, a baptism is a form of an exorcism. People don't realize that, but
right, yeah,
is that when people drink holy water, to me, it's like they're drinking it, and it's like being baptized from the inside out instead of the outside in.
It's kind of like the Gatorade of God.
It is. Literally, it is.
Yeah.
It literally is.
Yeah.
And I've had people that has had demonic, they've been possessed, literally drink the water, and they just start throwing up like no other.
Oh, wow.
Now, you know
and
what?
that's a sign that happens.
Yeah. What is the difference between a deliverance and an exorcism?
Okay. Deliverance is when you have certain prayers that you say. Okay. That is they're like just regular prayers that you're actually just saying prayers with you're praying with the family. You're asking, God and the angels to step in and allow them to work through you to be able to help get rid of the entity or get rid of the unclean spirit. Because actually in the exorcism rite, okay, in the Catholic exorcism rite, they never mention demons. They never mention demon. They only actually bring up about the unclean spirit. Okay? And that's one of the things they talk. So, and they hate Latin is the thing that they hate the most is they hate Latin. When Father's done exorcisms in Latin, because he, believe it or not, Father Mike's got his master's degree from Rome in Latin. He actually knows the Bible in Latin all the way, backwards and forwards. And what's also nice about Father Mike is he's a canon lawyer, and it's unbelievable the knowledge he has. And he's got his master's degree in this and master's degree in canon law. But and he's also been a Catholic priest for 40 years, so he's definitely seen a few things in this world that not just demonic stuff. Right, yeah. He is, but no, they don't like Latin. So
okay, let's go into more of the evidence. Sorry, Steve, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just got a question and I don't want to forget it. So listen, there's like, we all have, you mentioned we get baptized, and that's sort of like an exorcism in its form. I'm almost convinced that most people, not all people, but most people walking around have some sort of demonic influence or attachment. More and more so nowadays than any other time.
Yes.
And they're not even aware of it.
That's correct.
And I wanted to understand a little bit more about what those entities are and how we know they're influencing us. And I kind of have come to realize that a lot of the thoughts we have aren't even our thoughts.
Right.
That they're like, you ever go, where did I come up with that? And it's not even something you would think about,
Right. No,
and
I know.
And it's sort of like there's a knowing as well. There's a thought that might pop in your head. I would call it like imagination. Like it's something about the past that's bothering you, or you're thinking about the future. And I think that, like the demons, they can't live in the now because that's like God's moment, right? And so they'll bring up the past. They'll have you think and be mad about the past or worry about the future, and just kind of sitting there and being in the now and not being in your head. Just sit and know God is a way that we could kind of do a self-exorcism or sort of get to know us.
It is. And the thing is, believe it or not, by listening to certain Bible verses, because believe it or not, the exorcism rite has basically the Bible verses that drives these things out. And, that's a thing too. But you're talking about these things pop things in our mind. I'll give you an example, okay? And I'm going to throw this out to you. My daughter, unfortunately, was in a school shooting back when she was in 8th grade. She's 19 now. She was in a school shooting. And when the kid was doing the shooting in the room, and he unfortunately, he after he did it, they took him to jail. Okay, and one of the defense they said was, something made me do it. It was telling me I had to do it. Okay, it came out actually that this kid, he was being bullied by one of the students in the class. Okay?
Sure.
And there was something around him that literally saw that, and it made him actually start talking to him and made him start, doing the things that pushed him to the point to isolate him, because these things love isolating people to where they're alone by themselves. But that was one of the things that he said. Also, there was another school shooting that I saw that was in California that they could never really figure it out. That there was a good student, and he walked into the cafeteria, and he started shooting some of his classmates, and they were friends. And what's really crazy is they actually interviewed one of the students afterwards, and I saw this on the news. And then when she interviewed, she goes, it didn't look like him when he was doing this stuff. And they pressed her a little bit more, and they said, well, his eyes were black. Okay. Well, people don't realize, but that is a sign of a demonic entity, is when people's eyes go pure black. There's no retinas, nothing. They're just black. Wow. Also being totally white, just white eyes. But that's a, and I do believe that. And, and I have people say, well, you got people with psychiatric issues. Well, believe it or not, my daughter also, when she went to college, she sent me an article. She was studying psychology. Actually, believe it or not, one of the things how they actually used to treat mental illness back in older days was through exorcisms and deliverances. Yeah, that's how they did mental illness. Mm-hmm. Now, but psychology and because that's just what it is.
Well, I in my professional life, I dealt with psych criminals, mm-hmm. and I had conversations with psych workers and psychiatrists, mm-hmm. and not all agree, but majority of them, and I'm not lying to you, they agreed. I said there's a fine line between a psych disorder and possible possession.
Correct. You're absolutely correct.
And they say to me, Neal, I'm not going to admit to something like that. Yep. But the thing is that I agree with you, because after seeing certain things in the work that I've done, mm-hmm. People go, man, there's some little more to that individual.
There is.
Yeah.
Now there's I have psychologists that I work with, and I have a good good therapists that I work with out of Valparaiso, Indiana, and Michigan City, and anybody that's got a detachment or demonic issue or anything of that nature, they have post-traumatic stress afterwards. So they all need to go see a psychologist. They all need to go see a therapist. Okay.
Yeah.
Even before that, they need to. But there is some, forms that there is just psychological issues. People have psychiatric issues. And then there's points that it goes up and beyond what a psychiatric issue is. And believe it or not, that is more common than not. And I am glad that the more I've talked to people and certain psychologists and psychiatrists and stuff, that they are starting to realize that they're starting to realize that it's not just a psychological issue. It's not just a disorder. They know it. And you asked me about a movie called Nefarious?
Nefarious. Yeah, a very good movie. I told you about the movie.
To truth as truth can get. I in this field, because also what people don't, I've got a theory too, is some of the movies that are made, okay, that movie is being projected from their mind. They're writing the script from their mind, okay? Well, sometimes people are possibly seeing the future in things, and they're writing about it, and then from there it makes it the big screen, and what do you know? Things happen in the future, But that movie there is, if anybody's never seen that movie, that is a movie that is as close to the truth of
possession
as possibly can. I mean, it is as true can get.
I'm telling you, is for ladies and gentlemen, I know I did a film review a couple of podcasts back, and that movie there, the dialogue between the inmate and the psychiatrist, it's amazing. I recommend everybody to see this movie. Hollywood tried to keep it underplayed, downplayed, and so that people didn't see it. I think people should see it. Because the dialogue, once again, between these two about how it's actually weird of how the world is now. And you hear them talk to each other, and it's like, damn.
Oh, it was. I mean, you told me about I never even heard of the movie. That's actually one that I totally missed.
Right.
And I've had people say, "Have you seen the Pope's Exorcist?" And I'm like, "Well, no." And so I'm like, "Well, okay." I watched that one after a period of time. Finally got time to watch that one. And then you at the Paracon said, "Hey, Brad, you seen this movie?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
And I was like, I never heard of this movie. And you go, "You need to watch this." And so I went and bought it on Apple, and I started watching. I was like, "Oh my God, this is scary true."
I know. You want to know what else is also a very good one? I'm helping out this place. Is this podcast called The Exorcist Files?
Oh, I heard about that.
Oh my God, I've been listening to this thing. It's about another priest, just like Father Mike Maginot, who has had many cases, and he talks about the detail of how, like you're talking, of how certain things happen, why they happen, when they happen. And it's amazing. If anybody gets a chance, I recommend The Exorcist Files on podcast. They do an excellent job. They do a great job. And I'm listening to this show, and I'm like this, oh my God, give me more. It's just so interesting. I just find the whole subject so interesting. But let's go over just a couple more things of evidence, and then we're going to call it a night. And we're definitely going to have you on again. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
There's a lot.
I've really enjoyed this. I get to I work in this field, and but I don't get to talk to a lot of people about this because people say sometimes to me, they're just like, "Don't talk to me about this. It scares me." Like, man, I'm telling you, actually, believe it or not, be more scared of people out there because there's some really, really scary people out there.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
So
now let's go to this one piece of evidence. Go to that footprint, Steve.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see a picture that I'm like this. What is going on here?
Give me 1 sec. I think
So what we're going to present is a guy who's going to be standing there. He is shirtless. No, not that one. We'll get to that one in a minute.
Okay.
Let's go to the one that has the footprint on the dude's chest.
So we just did the hand on the girl.
Maybe you didn't download
that one there. Actually,
Oh.
they're not. I want to go back to the Brad one. Okay.
All right, go back one.
All right.
Right.
That,
Oh my God! Yeah, now
Yeah.
it's backwards. I see that now.
we're going to pull up the one with the footprint in a second. Okay, because these cases were at the same time. Okay.
Oh.
This is a case of a family that she was pregnant, and it was a young family, and this thing literally was trying to basically. I actually believe that it was actually trying to keep her from having the baby. Okay. So we worked this case for about 6 months, and from there, it would write out things on her back, and on her she'd get scratched and marks and things. And if you notice, the lettering is from the inside out, and that's how it is assigned. Also, it's in backwards. It's being wrote backwards.
Right.
And by it being wrote backwards and from the inside, that's signed that's inside the person. The demonic entity was inside the person.
Are we looking at her belly?
That's her back. That was her back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's pregnant at the time.
She was pregnant. So we did the exorcism, and what's crazy is after we did the exorcism, she became free. And then about a week later, she had her baby, and the baby is actually healthy, wonderful. The family is. I talked to them just a few days ago. Their son actually plays baseball now, and he's a good baseball player. Even though he's younger, he's doing really well, and they're growing as a family. And they don't have any more issues now because they came together as a family, and that's the number one thing is. They
what's nice about what you do, Brad, and because I keep hearing it from you, is that you do a lot of follow-ups with people.
Yeah.
And that shows your true intent, that you have a natural kindness and a want and a need to help people. And that's very strong, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do, because believe it or not, when I start helping these people, or Father helps these people, or, we're a team. We're all a team together, but God, you were talking about destiny of things.
Mm-hmm.
God brought us all together. Okay. Jesus and the Holy Spirit, the angels brought us all together to help each other.
Right.
Okay. For some reason, I was brought to this family's life, okay, to help them. Okay. Father was brought to their life to help them. Right. And I believe it was for them to get their faith back and just to actually grow as a family. I truly believe that. And the thing is, the entity just didn't want that to happen. So,
yeah.
But what's really crazy, if you can pull the footprint picture up real quick.
Do you have that one, Steve? There it is. Yeah. Oh my God.
That's a case that is from Northern Indiana. And it's about the same time as the case that with the one that I was just showing, or you were just showing, is that when I went to that family's house, the same night I was there visiting that family, trying to help this family, and that family texted me that photo that it wrote out Brad, because the entity knew, because these things are on a network, I believe.
Right.
And that entity knew that I was trying to help this family, so it was trying to get me off track, so I would actually work with that family more so to help this family. And that's how it does it. It was trying to do that by writing, by it doing that to that young lady and then sending it over to me in text to get me where I would get my mind off this case here and of helping this family. So
now this person here in this photo,
yeah,
did they feel like something he was being stepped on?
No, nope,
not at all.
It just appeared.
It just appeared on
burning. sensation in the skin, like a burning or an itchiness, or just a image of redness?
It just appeared.
Okay.
Wow. That is a wild picture, man.
Did you know, Brad, that in that moment that it was an attempt to distract you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
At
by
that
knowing that truth,
by that time I was it was about 2016, 17, 18. I started starting to figure out things, and a lot of the things I know about this stuff, it's learning on the job. Okay, it's on the job training. All right, you got the Bible, and the thing is the Bible talks. I mean, it's the greatest book ever made, but it's the living book. If that makes any sense, it's a living book. Because we live that book each day of our life with our faith.
Yeah.
And it's the truth, because in it talks about, demons and God, and angels,
Faith.
Yeah. And it's real.
Yeah, definitely.
And when you're dealing with these things, and like, what's the role of discernment for you? Like when you know something versus them trying to make you think something. You know what I mean? Like getting in your head and.
That's where I have to, and I'm guilty of this, is sometimes I try to keep that to myself. I write it down and stuff, but I rely on a lot of people like Father Mike and other people that, Teresa and my wife, and, believe it or not, I talked to Chris Fleming about some of this stuff too when I talked to him. And Neal, I've reached out to you lately, is because you guys have knowledge. And the thing is when I have questions or trying to figure things out, I have to throw those things out, and you guys help me process those things because your knowledge, we're a team, and the thing is, that's the way I look at things too, is I was brought to your life, you were brought to my life, is because we're supposed to be a team together. And I'm not talking about a paranormal team or we're all brought together as a team to be able to tell the truth about what's out there, what the truth is. And people need to stop searching for the stuff, because that's what the worst problem of it is people are searching. When they're searching, they're inviting it in. And then from there,
that's what I try to explain to some people is, I'm completely open and honest when I talk to people, is when I was younger, I used to play with Ouija boards by myself. Mm-hmm. Okay. Of course, completely stupid. Ridiculously, I do not recommend this.
Nope.
But it was from my faults that I did learn lessons. Mm-hmm. And that's when I first started feeling the thing where certain things try to enter inside of you, and you're taking on their emotion, their emotions, and this and that. Mm-hmm. And then I knew in my heart of hearts that what I'm doing is wrong, that I am doing something that you should not be doing. Mm-hmm. So I went through the whole process to get rid of this. I had to find faith in myself. And that's why I tell a lot of people, you can believe in any God you want. And that's all fine and good. I'm not going to ever tell anybody who or what they want to believe in. But as long as you have faith in yourself, that's the strongest thing you can have that'll help you through that day of getting rid of these things, is that true faith in yourself and that positivity.
And I'm so blessed in the aspect that I have family that does understand what I do. And they have faith probably more so than I have sometimes, because, they can see, what's going on, right. They see, because I am affected by these things. Father's affected by these. If you're in this field, everybody's affected. We even talked about that the other day, Neal, is that, the older we get, and especially in this field, sometimes it's, you start feeling the repercussions of the things.
Yeah, and there is repercussions. There really is. And I really didn't realize it until it really started happening. Yeah. And it does happen, and you have to be consciously aware of this I'm giving this as to people, take, for instance, there was a young man who is doing very good in the paranormal field. He's out there making videos and this and that. He's a nice guy, very nice guy. And he came up to me after we did an interview a couple of years ago, and I told him about attachments. I said, please be very careful about what you're doing. And just this year, I bumped into him, and he said, Neal, I think I have an attachment. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm not the person who wants to say, I told you so. But I said, you have to be aware of this. You're doing things in certain places, and some of these places, they're very real, and they're a center point for this kind of activity. And I said, and I explained to him how to get rid of it, because I've had to do it myself too, how to get rid of things myself. So I always warn people, please be very careful about what you're doing. You're not going to get some kind of superpowers or make a deal with the devil where you're going to all of a sudden become some Hollywood celebrity or something like that, which probably has happened. But there's a price to be paid for all these things. There really is.
You're right.
Yeah.
People say, sometimes they say is, when people say you make a deal with the devil, okay, in a lot of ways, there's a lot of Hollywood people that probably do make the deal with the devil to make sure that they get some things out there that they want.
Yeah, it's very real. It's very real. Well, Brad, I'm going to tell you something, man. Great interview tonight. I really do appreciate the time that you gave us. Mm-hmm. And like Steve said, we're definitely going to do this again, because we're gonna have a part 2, a part 3, a part 4.
Guys, I would love to come on and talk with you, because the more knowledge we get out there, the more truth we get out there, the better off we are. And knowledge, these things don't want the knowledge to be told.
All right. Now, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
Reach out to you, Neal.
All right. So just go to Neal at Graveside Paranormal, and I will send something over to Brad, and he'll be able to tell me, to tell you, to tell everybody else.
I'm out to help anybody if I can, but they have to want to help themselves.
Exactly.
That's the key. You got to help. I sat in after Mass today at church, and we were talking, and me and Father Mike and another gentleman was talking, and the number one thing is we were talking is the people have to want to help themselves. We can't do it for them. Only they can do it with God's help. Yep. That's the truth.
Steve, you got anything to say before we cut off for tonight?
No, this has been very thought-provoking for me. I think our viewers will find it too. Brad, thank you so much for being with us today.
And anytime I can help anybody, talk with you guys, reach out to me.
Sure. Anytime. All right. And this is Neal with the Paranormal Guys. And as always, boys and girls, boo.